All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's get all the tweets out. Perfect. Gonna get everybody in here. Let's get it started. Been a while. All right, all right, all right. Perfect. We are live. All right. Gurav, good morning from Saskatchewan, Canada. What's going on? Peter McGuire, good morning. Marjan, good morning. Eric, good morning. Daniel, good morning. Skyzen, good morning. Morning, morning, morning. We got the entire crew here. Let's get it popping. All right. Let's see. We got some economic events coming out today. We got jobless claims, PCE numbers, GDP. So it'll come out in about a minute here. We'll see how the market reacts, but I jumped on here a little early. We'll wait till 8:35. We'll get everybody in here. Once everybody is in here, then we'll get it started. Real, good morning from LA. Nice. A man with tools. Good morning. Good morning, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Perfect. It's 8:30 now. We'll wait about 5 minutes. We'll get things popping. Then we'll start with the market sentiment. We'll talk about the free alerts. And then we'll talk about some of the questions that you guys may have. All right. Edgar, good morning. Glad we back to normal streaming. Yes, sir. Casey, where do you find all the different things that get released that day or week? I use investing.com. If you go to the economic calendar, you'll see everything that gets released. Oscar, good morning, good morning. All right, so let's take a look at some of this information. All right, so let's see. GDP's 0.6 versus the 0.8 expected. PCE prices for 22, 7.1. And continuous jobless claims. So we got a bunch of data that just came out. I'm gonna post it in the chat. All right. Let's take a look at what that means. So GDP, PCE, and continuous jobless claims are some of the numbers that just popped out here today. Let me take a look. So jobless claims came in at 243 versus the 253 forecasted, which is a little bit better. GDP was also a little bit better than expected. And I think that's it, yeah. PCE prices were 7.1%, I believe, which was expected, which was the previous was 7.1. So market hasn't really made that big of a drastic change on it. based on that decision, but we'll see. 8:32 here. We'll wait a few more minutes, then we'll get started. Let's see. Daniel, yes, if you guys are here, tuned in, there's about 45 of you. Go ahead and smash that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get those likes to the same number of viewers. That would be awesome. Jen Chatney, good morning. Exxon, Oxy, like to get September 16 calls. Your thoughts? So we'll wait till the end. Once I go through the market sentiment, we'll get through the watch list. At the end, you can ask me questions regarding some of the tickers you want me to take a look at, and I'll do so at the end. Not doing it at the beginning of the session here. Just going to go over the market sentiment first. Relaxing Calming Sounds, good morning. I'm here. I love that name, the YouTube name. Alright, a man with tools. Can you tell me why, while oil prices at the pump have slowly been going down over the last couple of weeks, drip stock is also going down? It's supposed to be inverse. Again, we'll take a look at drip and any other tickers near the end, and then we'll kind of discuss them then. What's your watch list for the day? I've already posted the watch list. It's on Twitter. You can take a look at it over there. Yusuf, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you. LM, good morning. All right, guys. It is 8:34. We'll wait about another 30 seconds here. 8:35. We'll get started. Usually like to give about 5 minutes for everyone to tune in here. Once everybody is here, we'll get started with the SPY market sentiment. We'll go over the cues, and we'll go over some of the free alerts. And after that, we'll dive right in to any other questions you guys may have at the end. And make sure you ask me the questions in regards to your tickers, whether you want to day trade it, swing trade it, calls or puts. Don't just say, Tesla question mark. I'm not going to answer that. I don't know what your thoughts are. So if you're going to ask a question in regards to a ticker, make sure you let me know whether you're trying to day trade it, swing trade it, calls or puts. All right. Kyle, good morning, boss. Making my way back into trading again. Missed it, but I'm back. Let's go, Kyle. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back. Foolish Snowboarder, good morning. Casey, want to say thanks for all the content. I chart out moves the night before, and oftentimes overnight the price changes and screws my plan up. How do you normally handle this? I'll address that near the end, but remind me a little bit after. All right, so let's jump right into it. SPY. Okay, so the last few weeks, obviously, we haven't had these lives simply because I've been traveling, and then we had that meetup. So we went from this basing right here at 374 all the way up to 429. Okay, when we were coming up to this area, all right, we spoke about a few things that were going to become a problem for the stock market. We talked about, let me pull up my pen here so I can show you. We talked about this 200 moving average being a problem area, right? Right there. We talked about this old area dating back to April becoming a confluence area with this 429.70 and that 200 moving average going to be a problem area. So what do we have? We have this area and we have this area that were going to be problem areas. We also had that 200 moving average in the way, and look what happened. We got there, we saw that rejection, and we started pulling back, right? Now, when an old area of resistance becomes, this was your old area of resistance. When you break above it, technically that old area of resistance should hold as support, right? We had the 20 moving average here. We had the support of 416.63, which was prior resistance, which should have held, right? We didn't hold. We fell under this 20 moving average, and now price is kind of struggling a little bit here. Okay, we have a little bit of a gap up this morning, but we need to maintain above this 416, 417 area in order to continue higher. Okay, so let's dive into a closer time frame here, and I'll jump into the levels again. For those of you guys that are new, oftentimes I ask people, or I tell people, if you guys want, you're more than welcome to, screenshot the levels. This way you can see what levels I'm working with, and it can kind of help you out. All right, so first and foremost, this 415 level, 416 level, 415 level is going to be the level we're monitoring. Why? Because it's yesterday's pivot high. It's lining up with pretty decent support in the pre-market here, and that's going to be the level I'm keeping an eye on. Okay, if we maintain above this 415 level, then we can look for pushes into where? This 417. Where is this 417? It lines up with that old area of resistance that we talked about on the daily. So this right here becomes a key area. This right here is going to become a vital area for us to monitor. Okay, if we manage to penetrate through this and hold here in this area, right, then we're looking to get back up into that 419 area. All right, we need to look at this 415 level. We need to ensure that we maintain above this 415.80, and if we continue to maintain above this 415.80, then we can look for a push into this 417.90, 419, and ultimately the 420.45. Okay, so take a screenshot of this levels. These are the levels you're looking at. And these are going to be levels that are respected throughout trading for the next at least 2-3 weeks. Okay. Now, if we lose 415, well, then we're looking at 413.90, 412, which was a decent area, and then 410.96, which in the last few days it's done a great job. It's going to be our downside target. All right. So that's what in regards to the SPY. We're going to keep an eye on this 415. Right there, we're going to keep an eye on that 415 and see what it does. Maintain above this, we're looking at 417.90, going to be a problem area above that 419, 420. Lose 415, then you're looking at 413.90, 412, and ultimately 410 to the downside. All right. So now, with that said, we're going to jump into the Qs. Guys, if you guys are still here, go ahead and smash that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. There's about 70 of you here and only 30 likes. Go ahead and smash that like button. Don't be shy. All right. So in regards to the Qs, right, we had pretty relative strength in regards to the Qs throughout the last 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, and that was pretty evident as you saw some of the tech names kind of rally a little bit better. When the market was sitting at these April or May levels, the Qs were slightly higher. So we had a little bit of a more aggressive push on the Qs than we did on the SPY. But once we came back up to these levels dating back to April of this past year, 2022, we started seeing some same resistance areas, right? There's your resistance area. This area right here ended up being a resistance area again, right? We also had the SPY come into that 200 moving average. So the selling pressure in the SPY pulled us right back down, right? Now, what's really important here is where we are in regards to the Qs versus the SPY. So the Qs, we talked about this vital area from the SPY being back in May 30th, this resistance area of 312. We broke above it. We're actually retesting it and it's sold. Versus in regards to the SPY, it's not holding. It's we're back under that level of resistance, which is supposed to be support now. So that's something to note right here. 312.13. We're at least above that level, and we're gonna take a look at the closer time frame. Give me 1 second here. All right, so let's clear this up and let's dive into the 15-minute time frame here. Okay, let me put my levels back up. Again, same thing here, guys. If you guys need to take a screenshot of these levels, by all means, go ahead. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. It's there for you guys to kind of use it. All right. Perfect. All right. So the level that we're watching on the Qs here, guys, is going to be 316. Why? We can see we've had this resistance area. We constantly reject. Every time we come up to this 316 area, rejection. Right? So now we're above that. We've held it once. We need to see if we're going to hold it again out of the open. If we do hold it out of the open, great. That's something that I'm paying attention to. So that's going to be the level, 316. If we could look to retest that 318 area, right? 318 area being an area of old resistance. respected again in the pre-market here. So that's going to be the level to pay attention to. So just like the SPY, and the SPY being the 417.90 that we have to pay attention to, this is going to be similar level to the SPY that we need to pay attention to on the Qs. If we can get back above this, obviously 320, 322. However, if we fail to hold 316 out of the open, we get selling pressure, we get more weakness, we could look to roll back into this 313 area, which is a pretty vital area in the last 3 trading days. That level has held. Lose that, we're looking at 311, 310 to the downside. Okay, so go ahead and make sure that you guys take a screenshot of these levels, understand them, know how we're going to trade them, and just really understand, you know, it's basic support and resistance here. There's really nothing else to it. With that said, I'm going to dive into some of the free alerts. Obviously, they're on Twitter if you guys need to see them. So let's jump into them. All right. First and foremost, the first one here, Amazon, pretty good setup. You can see that old resistance right there, and we have pretty good setup here at 35. All right, so what are we looking at on Amazon? We're looking at if we can get out of this little consolidation area, we have a gap fill for the overnight to the downside that we can take advantage of. But most importantly, we also have room to the upside here. As you can see, there's not much price action taking place, which is also a slight little gap fill that we can take into on the intraday. So over 136, looking to take calls. Under the 135, I'll look to take puts to take advantage down to the downside. Now, if this move happens in the pre-market, great. We're going to look for a retest at that level and then try to get involved again on the puts. Next one is Meta. Excuse me. So Meta's done a good job here holding this bottom support line and gapping up, very similar to the Amazon chart. As it's gapping up, it's got a little bit of a consolidation. Now that consolidation is kind of breaking to the downside. Okay, so I want to pay attention to this. If we can get this, the 166 area, which is a resistance from back here, which is a resistance in the pre-market. If we can get above this 166, great. Look to take advantage of some of a bullish sentiment that will come into this after that to take it around 168, 169. However, if we get under 164.50, which is about to trigger here on the downside, then we can look to kind of roll back over. And then if we lose this 163, it really should open up back right down to the 160. So kind of both ways to trade this. You know, very, very neutral going into today. But those are the levels I'm paying attention to on Meta. Over 166, looking to buy calls. Under the 164.50, I'll look to buy puts on that one. Nvidia, obviously this one has earnings, but what we can see here, guys, is that it's put in a pretty good resistance right here, which is resistance once, resisted twice. So this 167.50 is starting to become a pretty decent resistance area. If we can squeeze out of here and push that 167.50, we could get that squeeze to the upside till at least that 170. Okay. Now, if we do roll over, we start getting some selling pressure and we lose this 165 area. If we come back down, then great. We can look to at least test this 163 to the downside, and then you really open up after that. Okay. Now, one thing you guys got to remember, they just reported earnings. So IV is going to be significantly higher on these contracts. So if you're trading options on a stock that just reported earnings, understand that if you get into the trade and you're wrong, within 5 to 10 minutes, the IV is going to crush you and your premiums are going to get absolutely smoked. So make sure that if you're going to take a trade that reported earnings in the last 24 hours, that you're fully aware of which direction it's going to go. Otherwise, if you're wrong, be ready to take a good significant hit, at least 30, 40, 50%. Okay, so size accordingly, adjust your position size as needed to allow for the volatility. All right, now a lot of the times people ask me again, how do I take these alerts? What happens, when it hits? Do I wait or whatnot? So let's talk about that very briefly before we get into any other questions you guys may have. If you guys do have questions in regards to some of the tickers you want me to go over, just remember, go ahead and let me know what ticker you're watching, whether you're looking to day trade it for calls or puts or swing trade it. Okay, so if you guys are looking to take these alerts, when do you take it? Again, within the first 5-10 minutes. Usually, if the price comes right up to it, I take the trigger right there, and I try to take advantage of the big volume momentum that takes place. If it's within the first 5-10 minutes, right? The same thing on the downside. If we open up right here and we're about to trigger, I take the trade right there as it's triggering to take advantage of that big move to the downside. Now, if an hour or so has passed, the volatility has dropped, the market has really slowed down. At that point, what you want to do is you want to kind of wait for a breakout, retest of that level, and then once on this retest is when you want to get involved to take advantage of the move higher. Okay. Another thing you also need to understand, you got to understand where the price is and where the price is going. Okay, so let's say price pulls down to here and then reverses, comes all the way back up to this area, and it's gone from 134 to 136. Well, you can't just blindly buy calls right here. You have to wait for some sort of a consolidation. Why? Because we've gone from 134 all the way to 136. We need some sort of a consolidation, some digestion of the big move up, and then we can get involved again on the breakout and take advantage of the next leg up. You never want to chase this move into resistance and buy calls, because what could happen is it could very easily come back down as soon as you buy calls and just plummet right back into support. And then when you get out, it's going to bounce higher and continue moving. Okay, so always remember that. Where was it? Where did it come from? And what needs to happen in order for me to have a higher success rate trade? All right, so I'm going to jump into this chat and see if you guys have any questions, and we'll go through some of that right now. So one of the questions was, you set up your game plan and overnight the price changes and screws up my plan. How do you normally handle this? Well, I do the same thing. I look at a ton of pages of stocks and I come up with a game plan. And in the morning, I come in early and I look at that game plan. Is that game plan still valid? Great. If not, and if we have significant gap down, I put it on the side chart, I watch it, but I have no triggers for it. It's just how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes, we get a market move where it kills all the setups, and then you have to come in and you have to look at the pre-market and maybe create new watch list, right? Sometimes that's just the way it is, and you can't force something just because you planned on making a trade on it the night before and you're coming into it and the market has totally killed that setup. Well, you can't just force a trade on it just because you put in time the night before. Sometimes you have a trigger level and the market kind of gaps down below it, you could wait for the retest of that level to get involved. But again, it really depends on how significant the gap down is. Sometimes the best case scenario is to kind of move on and find something else that you could trade. Zoom call contract end next week. Zoom, so ZM call contract ending next week. Well, if you're probably trying to swing this, you are at support of the 79 level. Other than that, there's really not much setup here. You're just anticipating a bounce. So high risk setup, not really any technicals there. So be careful with that one. Let's see, next question here. When you day trade options, what day till expiry do you use? So when I'm day trading, I have a very specific rule. I do usually, when there was more volatility, Monday to Wednesday, I would choose same week expiry, and Thursdays I would choose the following week's expiry to give me some time. And on Fridays, I would just choose lotto trades with significantly smaller size because I know the risk of trading lottos. But recently, in the last few weeks, I've actually just been trading Monday to Thursday. I use the same week expiry, and Fridays I do lottos just because there's more liquidity in the same week expiries. Thursday becomes a little bit riskier where theta starts playing a big factor. So sometimes choosing the following week's expiry will be a little bit better. But as your options count grows and you try to choose, trade bigger size, it's going to be hard to get filled on option contracts that don't have enough volume. Next question, Simon, morning from Toronto. Good morning. G Money, LFG, let's go. Edgar, that looks like a crazy rising wedge on the 15-minute. Not sure which ticker that was. Gurav, is this the 15-minute chart? Yes, when I'm going through the market sentiment and I'm going through the SPY and the Qs, for you guys, I put on the 15-minute chart here so you guys can kind of take a look at a broader picture. But when I'm day trading, I use 2-minute, 5-minute, and 15-minute or 10-minute. I fluctuate through them sometimes. Microsoft long trade over 277.48. All right, let's take a look. 277.48. So 277.48. I'm not really sure where this level comes from. I would probably wait till around 1078, 1079. I mean, this is the next big resistance area on it. 279.40. So anything in between that might be a little bit choppy, and then from there you have at least room to push to the 282. Okay, so that's the only area I'd look to consider buying calls at. On the downside, maybe under 275, you can look to try to buy puts. But if you try to take this at 277.48, I'm not really sure where that level even comes from, Simon. But possibly maybe this pivot high will be a better entry, 278.17, and then you can kind of push it to this area right here. But again, because of all this congestion, I don't like taking trades here. I like to take trades in areas with bigger pockets to the upside, so I don't get bothered too much on my trade. Looking to buy calls on ZOM and Oxy, September 16 expiry. So I assume you're trying to swing trade this. So here's the problem I have with swing trading stocks that have already broken out. Okay, one, why were you not in it when it broke this area right here, the 66? Why were you not in it a few days ago? What's the idea there? Why do you want to take it now? What's your stop at this point? If you take any of these oil names as a swing trade at this point, your downside risk is a lot because it's already made a big move. So if you take this here and decides to pull back, you might exit the trade here, but then that's when it's going to kind of bounce around. So ultimately what I'm saying is you've missed the move here, okay? To buy calls and swing trade this, you need to have bigger, a bigger stop loss, some more time, as well as a higher risk tolerance. What I would do, I would focus on day trading these rather than swing trading these. They're at areas with not much resistance overhead. The XLE sector does look like it's got room to continue going. But again, your next support is sitting all the way down at 78.60 from 83. So a pretty big drawback for you to sit through if you're going to try to swing trade this. So I would more day trade it than swing trade it. But if you're looking to kind of ask me what I think is going to happen with these oil names, because of XLE having room to continue higher, you might see some more continuation in that sector. ZM calls over 85, puts below 83. I think we talked about ZM already. Calls above 85. 85. Yeah, 85 is good. I don't mind 85. If you get above 85, you'll have room to around 86.50, 87. You have pretty good resistance right here from yesterday as well at around the 85 level. Pre-market is respecting that 85 level as well. So over 85, you should see that 86 level, 87 level. You can take advantage of. Nice little pop here, which would give you about 1.5–2% if it gets going there. So not a bad look. 83.30. And again, yeah, 83.30 looks good too. If you break that, you could look to fall to 82, possibly 81 level. So I like this. I'm not opposed to it. So over 85 should see that 87, and under 83.30, like you mentioned, should come down a little bit. Good eye there, Raul. Neo call for next week over 1850. It's already over 1850. It's sitting at around 1950 now. So that game plan might not really work. 1950 brings it right into this congestion area. So I wouldn't really get involved on that one anymore. You know, for a day trade over 1950 for a push to like 1990, 20 might be possible. But not anymore. I think a lot of the Asian names have gapped up this morning. JD, Billy, Baba, all these names have gapped up, but it's just gap central with these Chinese names recently, and just continuously been gapping here. So be careful. Not something that I would swing trade, definitely. Little Johnny, good morning. All right, Netflix long day trade over 234. Let's take a look at Netflix. Over 234. 234 is not a bad spot. I think 234.75, 234.50 would probably be a little bit better there. Then I can kind of get confident to try to fill at least this overnight gap down to the 240. So not a bad look. It's got to get back above that level. So again, remember, if it does get above that level, if the market pushes right to here, you don't want to take these calls right here, because from 231 to 234, 235, it's a big move. You're going to have to wait for some sort of a consolidation and then get involved in the trade there. Okay, I don't mind it. I would rather wait for 234.70, 234.50 for the trigger to the upside. All right. CVX seems to be a lagger instead of Exxon and Oxy. Let's take a look at the daily. Yeah, a little bit of a lagger there. It's coming right into this 64 area though right now. So it needs to break 164.60 for that one to get going. Weekly flag broke out on CVX. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, weekly, this little flag he's referring to broke out already. Look at this beautiful three inside candles here, and then just broke out. So very good eye. I absolutely missed this, but beautiful flag. 1, 2, 3 inside days, and then this inside week. This week is gonna close. Will be the first trigger week that closed over that inside day here, and obviously 164.60 first targets that it's hitting here in the pre-market, and then you're looking at moves towards 175. Again, with XLE having room to push to at least 86, definitely possible. All right, guys, so it is 9 o'clock here. Did I miss your drip analysis? I have been cost averaging down for a long-term profit. If you're investing in drip for long-term, I mean, there's really not much analysis here other than just cost average down. I really don't like buying oil ETFs and whatnot for my long-term. But you got support at 1326. That's the only support there is right now. You can look to try to add to it there, but again, I don't like getting involved in oil ETFs and whatnot for my long term. But it is 9 o'clock here, guys. I gotta jump back into the room. If I did miss any of your questions, go ahead and DM me on Twitter. I will answer it. Remember, we're back now. We should be able to do these lives every Thursday again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Come here with your questions. Let me know what you want to trade, and we'll go through them right here on the live. Again, if I did miss your questions, don't worry. Shoot me up a message on Discord or Twitter, and I will gladly answer any questions that you guys may have. All right, guys. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I got to get back to the room, get ready for the trading day. Thank you guys all so much. Smash that like button, and we'll catch you next week right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.